In this episode, I'd like to share the answer to a question from a seeker who is practicing semen retention or living the life of Brahmacharya, which means celibacy or semen retention, also known as semen retention in modern times. Perhaps you have this same question in your mind. The question is, why should one practice Brahmacharya? To answer this, let me begin with a simple yet powerful analogy. Can a mirror covered with dust shine and reflect an image? The answer is no. One cannot see one's reflection in a mirror covered by dust. Reflecting an image does not come naturally to the dust-covered mirror. But does this mean it is against the nature of the mirror to reflect? Again, the answer is no. It only means that the layer of dust covering the mirror is obstructing the true nature of the mirror to reflect and shine in all grandeur. If one were to take the effort of cleaning and polishing the mirror, the very same mirror that appeared dull and lifeless would shine in splendor and give the exact reflection of the object placed before it. The practice of Brahmacharya is exactly similar to this. A person, the Atman or soul, could be compared to the mirror, just as in the case of the mirror whose inner shine and splendor were unchanged and untouched in reality by the presence of dust, but only temporarily obscured. The Atman, which is the eternal soul, by itself is untainted, stainless, unblemished, and eternally pure. It is the long association of a person with objects of the senses that has made him forget his true nature of eternal bliss and go in search of temporary and impermanent pleasures via his five senses of perception. These five senses are sight, smell, taste, sound, and touch. This long association with sensual pleasures weaves a strong cocoon of Maya, which means ignorance, around the soul. That makes it forget its real nature of eternal bliss and experience suffering further to indulgence in sensual pleasures. This results in a state where the pursuit of purity, virtue, and godliness appears unnatural and alien to one's nature. It's just as the dust-covered mirror would say, "How can I reflect an image? It is unnatural to me." The Shvetashvatara Upanishad, a superb treatise on the path of self-realization written by the great and noble sage Shvetashvatara for the benefit of mankind, gives us a beautiful example to demonstrate this analogy. There it is said, "As gold or silver, first covered with earth and then cleaned, shine full of brightness and light, so the embodied man, seeing the truth of the Atman as one, attains the goal and becomes sorrowless." In order to remove the layers of ignorance woven around the soul and reclaim one's default state of bliss and joy, one has to reverse the order of activity that brought him to this state. Since indulgence in sensual pleasures was the key activity that led to degradation, one has to give up such activity, contemplate on the true nature of the Atman, and realize that one is not the body, mind, intellect, consciousness, or ego, but only the soul. One has to realize the infinite bliss state of the soul and reclaim his lost kingdom. This can be achieved by no other process but by Brahmacharya. As one progresses in Brahmacharya, he slowly starts to realize that sensual pleasures are temporary, impermanent, and can never give true bliss. He realizes that lust and temptation are only tricks of the mind due to continuous repetition of recreational sexuality and have no stand or bearing by themselves. Finally, one realizes that eternal bliss and joy exist within oneself, within the soul, and that there is no need for anything external to entertain oneself. This state is explained in the Bhagavad Gita by Lord Krishna. There he says, "The realized soul of steady wisdom becomes content in the self by the self, and goes to the state beyond misery and sorrow never to return. So now, let me ask you this. Do we want an existence like a dust-covered mirror, dark and unclean, thrown in a corner with a pile of junk, unknown, uncared, neglected, and abused? Or do we want the magnificent existence of a well-maintained and polished mirror that is proudly displayed in a public gallery and is admired and marveled by all the people who pass by it? The answer to this question decides the relevance of Brahmacharya in our lives. All scriptures cutting across religions advocate man to ascend to the state of purity and divinity and shun sensuality. This is beyond exception. It is for the discerning mind to rightly interpret these books of priceless value and absorb their true meaning, just as we absorb the essence in food through digestion and discard the balance through excretion.